I'm Jeff Philbin. This is Dinner DeeAs. Ideas for dinner delivered direct to you with no hidden fees or no need to tip. Today, we're making dinner and dessert. Creamy Tuscan chicken with sun-dried tomatoes and spinach. And we're baking, but we're making it quick as we whip up a lemon olive oil ricotta cake. My guest today is all about food and family. Andrea Messina learned Italian cooking from her grandmother and preserved her handwritten recipes in a book titled At the Table, Healthy and Easy Recipes Using Infused Olive Oils and Balsamic Vinegars, which she somehow found time to put together while reinventing her great-grandfather's family's business, Joe & Sons, as a gourmet grocery. Wow. Talk to me first about the timeline. When and did these recipes come about?
Well, so actually, in 1999, when my grandmother was ill and dying, unfortunately, I sat by her bedside and I literally started writing down recipes that she had always made, but no one had ever documented them or written them down. And so many of the recipes in this cookbook are all hers, but I've always, I've created a little modern twist on each of them and using, our fun infused olive oils.
I love it. She lives on forever, and you get to be able to have so much fun to be able to celebrate your family. So, wow, that is really cool. You're sharing recipes from the book with us today. Later, we'll be making your Tuscan chicken, but we're starting with a cake from your Sicilian grandmother. So,
yes.
What are we going to be doing?
So this is something that she made all the time. It started with a cake mix. I always thought it was super complicated, but a yellow cake mix. We actually have at Joe & Sons olive oil cake mixes, but you can use whatever yellow cake mix that you find at the grocery store. I'm using, I happen to have 3 eggs here, but whatever your cake mix calls for, you're going to follow that.
Okay.
You're also going to follow whatever the amount of oil that it calls for. So in this case, it was a box mix, a half a cup of oil. So I'm using a half a cup of lemon infused olive oil.
Now, how important is it to have that? I mean, obviously it's part of the cake and the flavor, but if you weren't able to find that, is it going to change the profile?
So no, you could use a plain olive oil.
Okay.
You could use, if you found another fun citrusy olive oil, such as a blood orange or something like that. So, but actually a plain mild intensity olive oil would be perfect for it. So I've got my eggs, my water, and again, I'm just following what my cake mix, so everybody...
That's right. That smells great.
So that's actually a direct fusion where the lemons and the olives are crushed directly together.
Okay.
So we're just going to mix that up real quick. So we're just going to get our cake batter going. While this is mixing up, if you want to go ahead and grease that pan there.
We're going to use the same oil?
Yeah, just put a couple of drops in there and mix it around. The really neat thing about this cake is we're going to put the cake mix at the bottom.
Okay.
And then in a second, we're going to do the ricotta filling. It's going to go on top. But they're actually going to swap places when it bakes. So you'll see that the cake mix will rise to the top and the ricotta will end up at the bottom.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and so it makes the cake nice and moist. So here we go. We've got our mix. If you want to go ahead and just put it in there.
I absolutely can.
All right, there you go. There you go, got that.
All right.
And you got a spatula?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. While you're pouring that, we can start here on the ricotta filling. Really simple. It's just one large container of ricotta cheese. And I keep saying ricotta. That's the way I grew up. Ricotta.
Hey, but that's the way the family says it.
Some vanilla extract. And 4 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. So 4 eggs.
4 eggs. Okay. You want to whisk that up?
Sure, let's go for it.
A little mix. There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, this custard mixture is really simple, but absolutely delicious. The vanilla is amazing in it with that ricotta.
Okay.
And what's neat, as I kind of mentioned before, is as the layers transition in the baking process, it makes that cake super moist, in addition to having the olive oil in there, making it really, really moist. So there you go.
Okay, it's a lot of cheese for a light cake. You know, there's no butter to it. It's olive oil, so you're already thinking it's going to be healthier, lighter, cleaner of a bite. But That's a lot of cheese.
Well, dessert is dessert, but it actually tastes very light. It actually is not a heavy cake at all.
If it worked for Nana, it's going to work for us.
Yep.
All right. So what's next after this?
Okay, so you're going to gently pour this on top.
Okay.
Not mixing it. So
not mixing it.
Yep. So you want this layer to stay right on top.
So just right on top.
Yeah.
You have a little trick or anything like that?
No, just kind of just like you're doing,
Okay.
and then if you need to just gently use a spatula to get it all the way so it covers the entire layer of cake batter, you can do that.
Okay. Come back down.
And if you need another spatula.
I think I might actually. I'm going to take that smaller one here.
There you go.
Switch hands here for me here.
You're good at this, like you know what you're doing.
Baking, I'm not the biggest of a baking fan, I'm not gonna lie. But like when you get to just slow down a little bit and enjoy the process a little bit more, that's where it's a lot of fun, because to bake this cake for your dinner, grab Andrea's recipe, not only in her book, but also at our website, dinnerdeas.com. Find us by getting your phone, opening the camera app, and zooming in on the square down there in the corner of the screen. It is our QR code. And when your camera recognizes it, a link to us should appear. I'm just going to fill in those little spots here. Make sure I get that nice and even, like you said.
And you can just spread it a little bit to the edge if you need to. But
Perfect.
Not mixing.
You just don't want to mix it.
Correct.
You just want to kind of spread.
Yep.
All right. I want to do Nana proud here too. Okay. And so just a little bit, you say?
Yeah, just to kind of get it
Just to kind of get it
there.
there.
You go.
Okay.
And by the way, it's nonna. I'm going to give you a little Italian lesson.
Okay, bring it to me, because the Irish boy wants to know it.
Well, okay, so nonna is really the way you say it, grandmother in Italian. But my family is Sicilian, and in the dialect we say nonna.
So then the regions have a lot to play with that.
Yeah.
So what do I do with my hand? Because I'm already kind of going with
You
it,
have
like
to say
asking
nonna.
how.
This is nonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
This cake's got to go bake. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we hop from Sicily to Tuscany as Andrea shares another family recipe you'll want to make for dinner ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. We're cooking today with Andrea Messina. She reinvented her family business, Joe & Sons, into a gourmet grocery, offering specialty olive oils, and she's also the keeper of her family's recipe archive, which she's published in a book called At the Table. She's sharing 2 recipes from it with us today: her Tuscan chicken with sun-dried tomatoes and spinach, and nanas. Am I doing it right here? Nanas. Lemon olive oil ricotta cake, which we made before the break, using a boxed cake mix, adding some eggs, some lemon-infused oil, water. Following the instructions, we combine it all in our stand mixer. Then while we poured it into a pan, we whisked together that ricotta cheese, the sugar, vanilla, and the eggs. And we layered the ricotta mix on top of the cake mix, which is in the oven right behind us. And like literally right now, that ricotta cheese is rising to the top.
It's swapping places, yes.
It's like a magic trick.
It is.
It's just literally
a magic cake, yeah.
rising and floating to it
Yeah.
there. So much so that we actually were able to do our own little magic trick here, because during the break, we start on our Tuscan chicken, and we have boneless, skinless chicken breasts cut in half, seasoned, and we're frying them in, what type of olive oil is this?
So this is the Tuscan herb infused olive oil.
Okay.
So it's got all of those wonderful Italian herb flavors already into the olive oil.
Wonderful.
So we take the chicken breast and you have it this way so that you get the thinner cutlets. And
Perfect.
so we're just going to brown both sides. I simply seasoned it with some salt, pepper, and garlic powder on either side.
Okay.
Just to, got to season both sides.
You gotta season.
Yep. And so then we're going to it still may be raw in the middle. We're going to continue cooking it, so that's okay.
And one per person?
Well, it depends in my Italian family.
Come on, bring it. Come on, let's talk family here.
I probably eat 2 of these, which is a whole breast.
I would,
Yeah.
I could get down with that too. All right, so this pan's still very hot. So what do we have to do here
Okay,
next?
So if you need a little more olive oil in there, just a little more of that Tuscan herb olive oil, again, it's infusing into our
And you
dish.
don't need to wipe the pan. You don't need to clean.
No,
You don't need to get a new
leave it.
pan. Same pan,
Same pan.
less cleanup, and all these beautiful flavors
We're
from
gonna
that chicken.
throw in our onions.
Okay.
And some fresh garlic. And we're just going to let that kind of, the onions become a little bit translucent.
Okay. Now,
and cook for a couple minutes. Yeah.
you said that this was a Tuscan blend olive oil.
Or Tuscan herb.
The Tuscan herb
Yes.
olive oil. So, you want to taste with me? Because, like, walk me through, like, what should we be tasting here?
Sure. And, I like to call this the little black dress of olive oil.
The little black dress of olive oil
I
here.
need to give my mother credit. She's the one that actually coined it that.
Okay.
But it's because, everybody can wrap their brains around Italian seasonings, and that's what's all infused into this. So it's delicious. So it's wonderful as a bread dipper. Great if you just want to drizzle it over some pasta with some fresh cracked pepper and Parmesan cheese.
And you got a nice woodiness behind it too, which is really those flavors that you're wanting out of
and
that.
And you can use it, really, with almost anything. Like I said, it's the little black dress of olive oils. Everybody knows, what Italian seasonings taste like.
I love that. I love that. Now,
so these are starting to look like they're, getting pretty cooked. We're going to add in a little bit of white wine to deglaze the pan.
Any type of white wine that you like to use in particular for this one? The one that you're drinking, the one that's going for dinner.
The nice thing about it is you just use a little bit, and then whatever then you've got. Look at all this that you can finish drinking. So we'll just kind of let that simmer down a bit till it reduces.
Like with the infused olive oil here, how do you get all of those flavors into this? It's not like, you're putting rosemary into it and just having the rosemary sitting there, but how are you getting all of those essences of those flavors in it?
So there's a couple of ways that it's done. So our lemon olive oil that we were using is done by a technique that they call agrumato. That's an Italian word. And what that means is that the fruit or the herb is actually crushed directly with those olives, so you get a direct fusion.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it. Other ways is it starts with a wonderfully fresh extra virgin olive oil, and it's like cold steeping the the herbs or the spices or whatever it is that's in there. And so and then the result comes out. So I think it's probably reduced a little bit here.
Okay.
You think so?
I think it has significantly.
So we can go ahead and pour in our cream.
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead and do that.
We're gonna go all the way in?
Yep, go ahead and put it all in.
How many different varieties? I mean, like, is the sky the limit, or is there like kind of a max?
We have a lot, but we've been talking a lot about the olive oils, but we also have aged balsamic vinegars that come from Modena, Italy.
Okay.
So we have in total over 60 different varieties of the two, and so we're gonna go ahead and throw in these sun-dried tomatoes as well. I've drained them. And I bought the ones that are already cut up to make my life easier.
Make it easy for you.
So, and we're just going to let that come together.
So the balsamic vinegars, how does that process go about?
One thing I want to talk about with the olive oils, we pride ourselves on how fresh they are. We get 2 harvests a year, one from the northern hemisphere in the wintertime and one from the southern hemisphere in the summertime. Our balsamic vinegars, though, in contrast, are aged a very long time. They all come from Modena, Italy. So let's go ahead and get these chicken breasts back in there.
Very cool. Your store looks absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook in there, and then the yummy juices from the chicken and the cream and the wine are all going to marry together.
I love it. To grab the recipe for Andrea's Tuscan chicken and the lemon olive oil ricotta cake, go to dinnerdeas.com. You'll find all the instructions you need, the amounts, the ingredients, the directions. They're all ready to print for you. Just scan the QR code to get there. Our Tuscan treat needs to simmer, so we're taking a quick break. When we come back, the finishing touches to Nana's. I'm going to continue to do it all the time now. To Nana's cake and our Tuscan chicken ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back to Dinner Diaz. We're in the kitchen with Andrea Messina from Joe & Sons Olive Oils, though she's not the Joe or the Sons, but more on that later. She's also written a cookbook of family recipes she's compiled called At the Table. Before the break, we started on our Tuscan chicken. We seared up half chicken breast in a Tuscan herb olive oil, then used the same pan to saute garlic and onion, adding white wine, heavy cream, sun-dried tomatoes, and finally the chicken we browned and left it all to simmer. This smells absolutely fantastic. I mean, the heavy cream is thickened up a little bit, so what's next with this?
Well, and during the break, we both tasted it a bit. It needed a little salt, so make sure you season with some salt and pepper if needed.
And taste as you go along, folks. Come on, that's part of the whole routine.
So then we're just going to add some spinach. We're going to sneak some vegetables into this here.
I like that.
It looks like a lot, but it'll very quickly wilt down.
Now, do you have any kids?
I do. I have an 11-year-old daughter.
So is this the way in which you got to sneak the vegetables in?
That's true. Because they kind of shrink down. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I sneak them in all the time. Actually, I make a pesto out of fresh spinach that with our pesto infused olive oil.
Okay.
I call it it's a faux pesto.
And what type of pasta are we using for this dish?
So today I just chose a penne, but you could really use just about any pasta.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you like. I'll let you put some pasta on the plate here. And again, this is, I don't know how much pasta you all eat in your household.
How much pasta do you eat in your household? I mean, like, what is it? Because, like, I want to really know.
I eat a lot of pasta.
You eat a lot of pasta?
I love pasta.
Okay.
I'm an all or nothing kind of person.
All or nothing.
I either do the riced cauliflower or I go for it with the pasta.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to grab one of these chicken breasts, but we've got to get some of this deliciousness.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Some of those beautiful sun-dried tomatoes.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and get a little bit of that sauce.
That garlic right there, too. I see all of that kind of coming to it.
So let's get that sauce all over the pasta. Oh.
Yeah. That right there is like comfort food to me.
And then just for a little element of freshness, we're going to garnish it with just a little bit of fresh parsley.
Beautiful.
Around the plate. And voila.
I love it. But this cake, what do we need to do?
Well, we need to get it out of the oven.
Okay. For a Tuscan dinner on your table tonight, grab Andrea's recipes for this and the cake we have in the oven at dinnerdeas.com. Just scan that QR code in the corner to find us.
So it's nice and golden. And then we're just going to top it with a little bit of cinnamon sugar.
Ooh.
And you can also do this, the last couple of minutes of the cooking process.
Okay.
Kind of sprinkle it on if you wanted to stick it back in the oven so that sugar sort of, melts on there a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When we come back, we taste test our dinner and dessert combo ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back to Dinner Diaz. We've been cooking with Andrea Messina today, making recipes from her book At the Table with infused oils from her store, Joe & Sons. We made not only the creamy Tuscan chicken with the sun-dried tomatoes and the spinach, but also a lemon olive oil ricotta cake. So I've got to ask you, where you want to go first? You want to go dessert first? You want to go entree first?
Let's start with entree.
You want to go traditional?
My Nana
okay.
would have made me eat the
Nana says you got to eat it before you can have dessert.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Then we're going to follow Nana's lead.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
The chicken is very tender.
Oh, it looks beautiful. It's still glistening. You gotta get a little bit of that sun-dried tomato right there, a little bit of that spinach.
I think it's even better because you helped.
I'm just following your lead. You did the royal hard work. Because this is absolutely fantastic. Like, this has everything that you would want for like comfort food. You got a little bit of just that creaminess that's coming through with that heavy cream that just you want to keep going back for. You reduced it down. The sun-dried tomatoes infused so much flavor into it. I mean,
and don't forget that olive oil.
and don't forget the olive oil, because the olive oil is coming through in every bit. Because you toss the pasta within it.
That's true.
So, all right, now, I'm sorry. Did I eat enough? Can I go for the cake now?
You can go for it.
Yes. All right.
Now, and here I just did some quick little lemon slices. I cooked them in equal parts water and sugar, just to make some candied lemons for a little garnish.
Oh, wow.
But you see how the layers swapped?
They completely swapped. They moved. Like, that is truly, we use the term TV magic, but like, no, time out. The ricotta is on the bottom.
They swapped. And then I'm sure some of it is in that cake now too. It makes it nice and moist.
That might be one of my favorite cake bites I've ever had. Like, it is.
And it starts with a cake mix.
It absolutely, like, I'm blown away by how good that really is right there. Like, that is absolutely killer. It's moist, it's dense, it is not overly sweet. It has almost the savoriness behind it because you have that lemon and everything that's happened with us. That is out of this world fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My Nana thanks you.
I hope so too, because I got to ask about the family here.
Okay.
We got Joe. We got the sons. You're neither Joe or a son.
Correct.
So walk me through a little bit about
Okay, so
Joe and
this is on
sons.
my mother's side of the family. It was her father and her grandfather. So my great-grandfather and grandfather. And Giuseppe was his name. He was a Sicilian immigrant that came to Tampa for a better life. And they opened up a grocery store in 1938 in Ybor
1938.
City. In Ybor City.
And this was the store back in the day?
Yeah.
And as you can see, they were smoking cigars back
Smoking
then.
cigars. That is Ybor, then tried and true, and
Yeah,
still to
yeah.
this day. And I love that. And who's the lady on the left?
That is my great-grandmother.
That's great grandma. Wow.
And so we have pictures like this all over our store. So you can actually kind of take a little trip down memory or a little historical trip in
Absolutely.
Tampa.
And,
you know,
and
in
not
the
even
store,
that,
yeah.
of your family's heritage.
It is kind of
like that's the cool part about it, is that the rise of Tampa and all the other pieces. You're a part of that from 1938 onward.
Yep.
Like that's really cool.
I think my grandparents would be very proud.
I hope so. I hope so. Thanks again to Andrea Messina. A link to her store, her book, and the recipes she shared today are all at dinnerdeas.com because they are very proud of you for it. I'm Jeff Philbin. Thanks for watching, and see you next time with more Dinner Deas. This is so good, and I'm going back for that cake. Like,